But when we had porno mags, we were like, fuck. Where are we going to hide these? Where are we going to hide these? Where are we going to hide these? Fuck. Where are we going to hide these? Where are we going to hide these? Where are we going to hide these? Pornography magazines. There's a bunch of porno mags. There's a bunch of porno mags.
Right.
Pornography magazines.
Right.
Rotten Randy took it from his older brother, Crustacean Chris. Maybe he'll blame it on the other brother, Wretched Ronnie. Rotten Randy took it from his older brother, Crustacean Chris. Maybe he'll blame it on the other brother, Wretched Ronnie. Crustacean Chris, Rotten Randy, Wretched Ronnie. Crustacean Chris, Rotten Randy, Wretched Ronnie.
I love that.
So many of the kids from your childhood were just garbage pail kids.
Crustacean Chris, Rotten Randy, Wretched Ronnie. Crustacean Chris, Rotten Randy, pornography magazines. And I can tell you exactly what this porno mag was.
Right.
And I can tell you exactly what this porno mag was.
Right.
I love that.
A champion from the West. A legend of the East. A competition that went too far.
There has been too much violence, too much pain.
Now, to survive, you must destroy. For honor.
Let us gingerly touch our tips.
For love.
It will be nice. I think you will love it.
For justice.
The law's on my side.
The power of a warrior.
JB.
The heart of a champion.
Thunder.
He likes the way I talk, and I like the way he talks.
This is Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes. Stack of Dimes.
Stack of Dimes. We are the podcast that is being sued by 42 state attorney generals for being too addictive. Our podcast is too addictive. They said
That's
we
no
engineered
joke.
it. We engineered it to hook you guys,
That's
you
no-
troglodytes. They
that's no
said
joke.
we're harming troglodytes all over the United States.
Someone's been
And
watching
maybe
Big Vape.
Canada too.
Someone's been watching Big Vape.
Oh, I haven't been watching Big Vape. I was in the
Sure.
headlines today that Meta is being sued. So I was like, yeah, when are we
really?
getting sued? When are the troglodytes getting together doing a big class action lawsuit? You guys are too addictive. I can't get enough. Can't.
It would be so embarrassing if we had to go into court and they'd have to analyze our analytics. Could you imagine that? It would be like three dudes going like, "Damn, we truly were the only listeners." Wow.
Yeah.
Oy.
It says here you had 3 downloads in February of 2022.
Yeah, but
Can you explain this?
We're using Libsyn, and they said that it's like, yeah, no, they're lying. Oh boy. Yeah, I didn't see that headline.
It says
actually,
here these 3 same users downloaded thousands of times. Can you explain the addiction that these troglodytes had? We played a funny song. It was about porno mags.
Yeah, let's
by
talk.
The way. Thank you,
yeah,
listener.
Yeah, Jesus.
What's this listener? If
It's,
I switch apps right now, the whole thing comes tumbling down on my phone, so I can't do it.
Believe it's Brian. Listener Brian.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Just go with
if
that.
not,
Just
then
stick with it.
Then it's Ryan, and then you're very much. I've turned into my
it is
dad.
Ryan.
I've turned into my dad at this point.
Ryan.
Because it was Brian Rocco's, Clay's best friend at Winlock, but it was always Ryan Rocco, my dad, and it never changed. So
there's always like S's and that. I don't think people appreciate this as much as I do, but I always like that. Did you ever watch that Steve Brule? The Johnson Highway thing he did. He'd always just add R's to words, like instead of pumpkin, it'd be prumpkin.
Yeah.
These prumpkin, like he would just add R's to random words, and it made me laugh every time because I sort of get like I know those people. I know, like the people that just add like Rocco's, so just add an S to an end.
Take an S off, add an S to the end. Yeah, all that stuff's funny. So that song. I'll tell you what. We always record this and do a bunch of shit separately, so it will be tagged on the beginning of the show. You don't know that, but I'll tag it on at the beginning of the show.
So you're going to go back in time. In time.
I'm going to dial in the dial of destiny.
What
and
is
go
this
back
like?
in time.
Some sort of non-linear recording that I don't understand.
That is why I am an engineer. I am a studio engineer. No, but speaking of studio engineers, if you listen to this goddamn song that this dude, and maybe the other songs are this way too, but put your headphones on. It's like Mutt Lang produced this shit. I
emailed him back and said it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, and it is.
The dynamic range on these things and the audio separation. I'm going left channel, right channel. I've got myself behind me. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's like that Cars song, "Living in Stereo." Do you remember that? Like, licensing, living in stereo, and it if you listen to the headphones, it went all over. Oh, shoosh. Yeah, listen.
It was a real Q sound situation, right?
Yes, it was a Sony Q sound situation. Which it all comes back to Q sound,
which always does. We had a nice little back and forth on instant messaging or whatever about Q sound of all things. Jesus Christ! What's wrong with us?
That's not a rare occurrence. And every now and then, I feel like I'm usually the first. I'm gonna take credit. Usually first to drop a Q sound reference, and I feel like every time I do it, I think it's the first time I've done it. But then I realized later in the conversation, oh no, you and I have had this conversation multiple times before about Roger Waters recording Amused to Death in Q Sound, and also the Terminator Sega CD game also recorded in Sony Q Sound. Very high dynamic range. Yes.
I don't think I got into that with you about the Terminator Sega CD. It's exclusively the Sega CD version of that game, right?
Mostly why I wanted a Sega CD
was the Q sound on Terminator.
Because of Q sound, but secondarily because of the Terminator game. No, mostly the Terminator game, because it's like, I remember the picture that was in magazines it's very side scroller, very like Streets of Rage sort of looking at the time, and the picture in the magazine was like the Terminator, and then like Kyle Reese, who's the main the guy sent back to fight the Terminator, like in the techno bar, Tech Noir, and it's like you're having like a shootout in the bar with it. I was like, that looks amazing. I have to play that.
So a few weeks back, I came across our stupid movies that we made. I have them on DVD, and I was like, I haven't watched these in a while. I don't know why. I was digging around. I came across them on whatever. Okay, so I watch it, and we did the stupid soundtrack where we sang over music from video games. Streets of Rage, I know that game well, and then I think it was the sequel that we did, we used the Terminator video game songs because you could access those tracks through the CD.
That's right.
Remember?
That's how we got those. I didn't remember that you could put that. Yeah, you could put that CD into a regular CD player and just play the music.
Correct.
Oh my God, I've completely forgotten that.
I had as well until I was like, I put in the sequel. I was like, where did we get this music? And I was like, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, I'm thinking it was that Terminator game. And then in my mind, it was like, was that goddamn thing that was in Q Sound? And this is before we had our last conversation. So sure enough, like I watch it or whatever, and I go onto YouTube and I just look up, like, I just did a Terminator Sega CD playthrough. And goddamn it, if I didn't sit and watch a guy speed play that game for it was amazing. The parallax scrolling on that thing. And this dude was so good, it was like hypnotizing watching him because he was just like, speed running through it. And then the fucking music is fantastic on that game.
It is good. And I think that's why we picked, but that was those Sega CD games. There was something about those Sega CD games so it's amazing that guy was able to burn through them. It's like that fucking cliffhanger game. They were all really hard.
I remember being just like frustrated as hell.
Yeah, it was like you couldn't casual play those things. No. You had to get. It was like that. What was it? Night Stalk or whatever that thing was with Dana Plato.
Yeah, I have.
That thing was impossible. The cliffhanger was impossible. Terminator, I remember it was like maybe not impossible. It was definitely harder than it should have been.
Yeah, you really had to.
It was hard enough to make it not fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I watching this guy play, I was like, all I could think of was like, how many times have you played this game? Because the only way to get this good is if you just kept playing it over and over and over again. Because like you, whenever I played that game and like Cliffhanger, I just got so frustrated. I was like, I don't even care to try to get good at this game. It's too damn hard.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I wonder if there was something with the Sega CD because it was like an add-on and the games were blah, blah, blah. Do you think they were like, oh, let's make these, like, was there an intent there? Like, these are for serious gamers of the time?
Yeah, probably.
And something like that.
I bet you the
let's make the games, like, let's up the difficulty.
Yeah, and I bet you the guys that were making them weren't really experienced game crafters or whatever you want to say, right? Because a lot of that
like
stuff,
you pick up a Mario Brothers or a Streets of Rage or something like that, you're instantly having fun. And yeah, they can get hard at parts, but it's like you're having fun the whole time. You pick up one of those Sega CD games, you're instantly punching yourself in the dick.
Yes.
You're just pounding and pounding over and over your own genitalia.
I remember just being up late in your bedroom, like till 2, 3 in the morning.
Ooh, tell me about it. Stud. Just a couple of hunks. Just a couple of hunks up there.
Yeah, but I mean, just zombified playing this bullshit over and over and over again.
What was it that game called? The Night Walkers? Night Stalker?
Was it Night Trap?
Night Moves?
Was that
Night Trap?
Wasn't it Night Trap or something
I do.
like that?
We've talked about this probably on here before, but we had a Sharpie and like printer paper, and we were like writing out, because that game was like a time game.
It was all based on
push up, push over, push down, or whatever. And if you didn't do it, you had to start back from the very beginning. So we just started to write out on Sharpie like every move you had to make.
Yeah,
we barely scratched the surface in that game.
Well, first of all, we had to rent it.
Yeah,
if you remember that, because
you only could rent you had to rent the NC-17 one because they were selling one that was more a PG-13.
Yeah, they had to do some cutting because there was too many girls in lingerie in the thing.
And I think the game was like crazy violent. Like they're vampires, but what they basically do is take like a giant power drill, and there's like drill into their necks, and then the blood comes like spurting out through a tube. It's like it's a little like that movie Body Double, when he like kills the woman with the power drill.
Oh yeah, and
it's
just
like
goes
that, but in the neck.
Yeah.
It's like it was pretty violent for what it was.
Yeah, and we. At that time, you couldn't buy the original version, but we knew of a place. If you remember this, it was across the lake. It was like, it was a video store that we would not even frequent, but we knew that they had.
It was the other side of the tracks, essentially.
But we knew that they had this version, so we're like, okay, we're going to go over there.
Told us. Matt told us he saw that version.
God rest his soul, he sure did.
Yeah.
And we went over it. But the game was you had to switch between cameras, and if you were watching a different camera and those dudes snuck by, they would end up. So that the whole game, what was frustrating was you'd go camera, you'd bounce around, and you go like, oh, what's this guy doing? And you'd follow him, and you'd see like, oh, he's going to kill this girl, and then you had to switch to the camera that had the trap on it, and then you had to set the trap. And
you remember it way better than I do, even though we stayed up like all night playing it. I didn't. Yeah.
But inevitably, the only way you would learn that is that she would get killed and the game would be over. So you're like, God damn it! So what camera is this?
There was no way to actually get good at it.
No, you had to just keep
predict what was going to happen. You just had to fail over and over.
Oh, again. Fail over and over, and so then you write down at 10:55 we've got to switch over to camera 7 so we can catch this guy. And that was the whole fucking game. And what? I bought one of those. I don't know. I got problems. We all know that. But those stupid mini systems. They've got an NES Mini. So they have the Genesis Mini, and they did a Genesis 2 Mini, which was remember the smaller version of the Sega Genesis? They did a second Mini with that form, that second iteration or whatever, but it also has Sega CD games, and one of the games is fucking Night Trap on there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's like, I wouldn't think it'd be the edited one or anything, but I popped it in for like 2 seconds, and it's pretty goddamn unbearable. It's like, wow.
I mean, the video was like pixelated as fuck. I'm actually surprised. Like now and then when that game pops in my head, and I think about like how the method of murder, like vampires, or I guess wannabe vampires. I don't think we ever got far enough in the game.
No, yeah.
But like drilling into somebody's neck to like extract the blood that way. I was like, that's a pretty clever way to actually kill somebody differently in a vampire movie. That I'm surprised that or vampire game.
Yeah.
I'm surprised hasn't been like ripped off and stolen and like put in some other like more contemporary thing.
Oh, I'm sure
this guy thinks he's a vampire, and then they're like, I mean, yeah, it's probably somewhere out there, but just not like super into pop culture or something. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. That was what a journey that was. But either way, do not sleep on the soundtrack to Terminator, the Sega CD version.
Yes. The whole point of this was the soundtrack to the Terminator Sega CD is fantastic. I think it won a Grammy. I think it won a couple Grammys, yeah, for Best Q Sound. I think they had that year.
I believe it was Virgin video games.
Really?
Yeah, Virgin video games, I think.
Thank you, Richard Branson.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
What a delight.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the meat of this. What you really wanted to talk about is you went to a Hootenanny, didn't you, just recently or something?
So
What'd you do?
we did my wife does a lot more of this than I do, but she volunteers at our kids' elementary school, and over the weekend they do these fundraisers, right? So the school's like K through 5, and most of the fundraising we have a fourth grader. The fourth grade class does a lot of fundraising, so they can do a bunch of fun stuff like their fifth grade year, kind of like juniors and seniors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the junior prom, they go to the senior, but it's like fourth grade does fundraising, then fifth grade they have like an overnight, and they just celebrate like, hey, you've made it through elementary school. So they're doing this fundraiser. One of the fundraisers was this last weekend. It was the Boo Bash, the Halloween Bryant Boo Bash.
You got to be careful if you're naming it that. It almost sounds like Boob Bash.
I said Boo Bash to somebody today, and they're like, "Did you
slow down?
Boob Bash?" I was like, "No, Boo Bash." But I would gladly volunteer at the Boob Bash.
Yeah.
That sounds like that does sound like a hootenanny. So Amanda was like my wife's on the planning committee of this. And she's like, I signed you up. I was like, cool, whatever. I'll do whatever I need. And she's like, we're serving food, like you and I are doing, like hot dogs and pizza. It's like people buy tickets and they get like hot dogs and pizza. And
do you sneak a couple of bites for yourself?
What's that?
Do you sneak a couple of bites for yourself or what?
We'll get into that in a second.
Was it that weird square pizza from the school?
No, we ordered. It was a Jet City pizza.
Got it.
Anyways, so it's like one of these things. You buy tickets, and I don't know if you remember, but like this happened last Saturday. And Saturday over the weekend was like pretty nice. The weather was pretty nice. And
very
like,
warm.
Saturday it was very warm, and so we started. This thing was like I think it was supposed to be like 4:30 to 7 or something, 4 to 7. But we started like going at like 3 because like so we get there. We set actually we got there at like 1 p.m. to set everything up. But when we started like cooking and getting stuff set up, so we get there, we get all the tables and stuff set up. I like go over to like pick up a grill at a friend's house. I borrow his truck because he's got this big like tailgate grill. Set that thing up, propane and all that. Pizzas arrived. Jet City pizza, for the record, pretty good, by the way. I didn't have any that night, but I know Jet City's not bad.
I haven't had Jet City in a long time, but the last time I had it, it was really fucking good.
Yeah, it's cheap. There's like one of them in Northeast Seattle, like off 75th near my house, and
there used to be one in Kenmore. That was the one that I would hit up,
and it's pretty good, and it's like it's reasonably priced. Yeah, although if you look at if you open up a box of cheese, here's what we come to learn. And you open up a box of pepperoni, and you can't tell the difference between the two because it's like that thing where the cheese is on top
of the toppings.
Like, yeah, exactly. So like cheese or pepperoni. So people are like, oh, I have a pepperoni. Like here you go, and they're like, no, I want pepperoni. I'm like, no, that is pepperoni, dude. Trust me. Just bite into it. Go with it. So I show up. There was another person like coordinating all this stuff, like buying the stuff. And so they bought all these Nathan's hot dogs.
Sure.
Like, packs, like 6, like these packs. It was 300 hot dogs.
Holy smokes.
300. I was like, maybe we'll cook a fraction of these. Like they're like frozen solid too, right? So we like had them sitting out. I'm trying to like thaw them and stuff. I ended up grilling hot dogs from like 3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Jesus Christ.
I cooked 300 hot dogs. At one point we ran out of buns. People were still like coming up and ordering hot dogs because it was a nice night out, and everybody's like, we're going to the Boo Bash. The food line, we were woefully understaffed. It was like Amanda and I, our fourth grader, like came and was taking orders, like telling us like, hey, they want 2 pieces of pizza, they want pepperoni, or they want hot dogs. So she's like helping out. We finally got another parent to come over and help out, but I'm like trying to cook hot dogs and like throw them in a bun and throw things into a warmer like when they're not. And then like Amanda's like working all the pizza. We literally, I don't know how many pizzas they ordered. It was a lot. Like it was it was like probably 2 stacks of pizza, both like 4 feet high or something like that, of like cheese and pepperoni. So like a ton of boxes. We went through every slice of pizza, including the bullshit gluten-free ones that they bought. Those were the ones didn't. I think not a single slice went until the end, until we were out of pizza, and then people were like,
sure,
I'll take
give me
that
one of those.
gluten-free.
Yeah.
Like, do you have any more pizza? No, we have gluten-free pizza. I'll take it. Okay. So we did that. Went through every one of those. Went through all the hot dogs. At one point, we ran out of buns. People were just eating just take it, like no bun.
Meat tubes,
Then we got some more buns back. Went through all that shit, dude. I literally that night, like when I closed my eyes to go to sleep, like all I could see was hot dogs. Like it was literally like when you do that thing where like that's all you could see. And I was cooking them all from frozen solid.
Good Lord.
So it took like a while, because you'd have to like I was like, I gotta cook these on kind of low heat, otherwise they're just gonna burn
on the outside and stay cold in the middle. Yeah.
So literally the only bite I took is like one of the first batch I did to kind of like test out timing, and I took a bite and I was like
kicking it from side to side in your mouth.
It was hot enough.
Yeah.
It was not frozen in the middle. I fucking nailed that thing. But I think we fed like all of Northeast Seattle.
Good Lord.
It was exotic. My next day,
we got to get you. You got to get you on at the Eagles, dude. We could use you there.
Fuck, dude, I'll cook up some hot dogs. Those Nathans are pretty good, man.
Yeah, they are. They use that beef. They use all that. It's all
it was
beef.
100% beef. Had some lady come up like, I want to see the ingredients of these. I was like, here's the box, lady.
Goddamn Nathan's, lady. I mean,
yeah, I was like these beef? I'm like, yeah, they're beef. What else is in there? Is there any gluten? I was like, oh boy. That was. I think she later came up because I wasn't like Ruby was doing the orders. My fourth grader, and she's like, one woman came up and was like, I want a hot dog that hasn't touched a bun. And I was like, oh, okay. They didn't want gluten on it. And then we gave her a plate, and she said a bun had touched that plate, so she wanted a new plate. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way. The amount of sweat and grease on these hot dogs, like it almost literally anything would touch it. Like it could fall in rat poison, and you could pick it up and you'd be fine. Yeah. Like completely fine.
Oh, man.
This fell in a giant pile of fentanyl. Yeah, there's none on it. I don't know. It's so greasy and sweaty. It just all kind of just like rolled right off.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the only. And she was like literally out of the 300 hot dogs we served, the one outlier. But there was one other person. I wasn't like working. Again, I was like cooking hot dogs and throwing them in buns and trying to get like everything like just like as fast as I could make them. It's like kind of how people were taking them. I think at one point we ran out of buns. There was sort of like an indignant parent. It was like, how dare, but I think as it was described to me, he sort of caught himself midway. He was like, I'll take a hot dog. Like, it's just like, what do you argue? Like, you're arguing against a couple parents are like this thing that's woefully understaffed, and like, you're paying in a circus ticket.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
That always makes me laugh when it's a thing like that too, where it's just like for charity. It's like, look, it's an excuse for us to get some money to raise here, and we've got these things, but don't expect it to be like you're going to fucking Mod Pizza or something here, bro.
Yeah.
Like what's
and by the way, like just like most people, like I don't know, I think we came home with a bunch of tickets because it's like, well, we'll buy a bunch of tickets. And we don't use them. And the money goes to the children's. But it made me think about the Halloween carnivals and stuff. Like we never had anything as big as like this thing. I mean, it wasn't like big and extravagant. They had like a face painter. They had like a little bit of like a haunted house inside the school. They had like a photo booth thing.
Yeah,
set
boy,
up. It was just like little kind of piddly stuff, but like.
I don't know if I remember that much when I was a kid like that.
I do remember we had a Halloween bash at the Hillcrest Elementary.
We did?
And I remember we went into the gym. There was like pin the tail on the donkey or something. Here's the thing when you're that age, when you're like, I probably went when I was like second or third grade. I was like, why are we here, and what in the hell is going on? What in tarnation is going on? Like, I am so like, I thought we're going door to door for this trick or treat thing. What is this? What is happening? We're back at the school. Like, why are all these people here? Like, it's just so confused.
Right.
The whole thing is
so sorry. What you're saying, because I was lost here for a second. You're saying you went home for the day. Like, school's over, and then your parents took you back to the school for this function. Yeah. And you're like, what are we doing here in off hours? No, that is a good point.
They probably did explain it. Like, we're going up to the the Hillcrest Halloween horror whatever.
But man, we were just idiots when we were kids, aren't we?
And you're just like, huh?
Flat out idiots when we were kids.
None of those words you said made sense to me. And then you end up there and you're like, why aren't we going door to door to houses and saying trick or treat? What is happening? Like, I don't want to go bobbing for apples. That was always a thing in the 80s. You got you have a bob for apple barrel.
Why the fuck? Who wants to ever bob for an apple?
Bob for apple.
Shove my face in this water with a bunch of other kids shoving their face in here to pull a fucking apple out.
Yeah.
To win some goddamn candy or win the apple? What are we doing?
What is it? Like, what am I, a pilgrim or something?
Yeah.
Like, what? These got to be better fun and games than this.
Was Little House on the Prairie? Where are we gonna go and make fucking apple cider out of these things too?
Yeah,
which was also
there
bullshit.
Was apple cider. Yeah.
We've got these people that came today, and they're going to show you how to make apple cider. You're like, do you ever have that bullshit? Remember that stuff?
I don't. Probably
we had that.
Know.
Usually it was in the summer, right? But they have this thing that's like just this old wooden iron press thing. And as a kid, I'm looking at him going, this can't be sanitary. What the fuck is this? And there's just bees and hornets just swarming this thing because of all the sugar and juice. And then you like, here you go. Here's your cup of cider. And you're just like, it tastes like iron because it filtered through that fucking rusty ass tube right there. What the fuck is this?
I like an apple cider.
I do too.
Like all warmed in like a crock pot or something.
Dude, look, I'm all for an apple cider, but can we have it made in like I don't need to see the process. You squeeze the shit out. Like I know how juice is made, for Christ's sakes. I mean, I've watched fucking Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, show me how to do it on Picture Picture. You know, like, good God. Sorry, I apologize.
You don't remember any like little carnival like attraction, like none of that stuff? Like,
I vaguely remember doing some sort of nonsense where you'd fish for something, right? So you'd like, okay, here, take the fishing pole and throw it out, and it was like you would throw it behind they would have like a butcher paper, like, oh look, it's the sea, and you toss it up over it, and then there's some jackwagon on the other side clipping a prize onto it, and you're like, oh, you gotta reel it in.
Oh.
And you reel it in, you're like, oh, the fucking kazoo. Cool. I mean, it was cool, and I enjoyed every goddamn second of it.
Or you have the one where you like the holes in the wall, you like stick your hand in, like, what's in there?
Oh, yeah.
And then like you pull out some sort of prize or...
Oh, I thought you were going to do this number.
Disgusting or something.
Yeah, I thought you were going to do the number of like, this is eyeballs. You just put your hand in a bowl of eyeballs.
I was terrified of that thing.
Me too.
Like, I was like, I'm not putting my hand in there.
Yeah.
I've seen enough like I feel like I'm trying to think of like a movie that had it, but I've seen enough movies to know that like this doesn't end well for me.
Yeah. Or and also like
pull out bloody stump.
It also, when it's like, oh no, it's a bowl of eyeballs. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to feel those. If there was a bowl of eyeballs here, I wouldn't want to feel them either. No, but it's not really eyeballs, but just put your hand in there. It'll gross you out. Yeah,
I don't think we can do that stuff anymore. I don't
Probably
think
not,
like all the COVID and the germs are like, you can't do any of that tactical. Like you can't put a bob for apples or have everybody put their hand in the same like bowl of grapes.
Good.
Like
good. I mean, not that like that I think we need to be that cautious, but also at the end of the day, that stuff sucks. Let's get rid of it. You get your kids' hands all sticky because you peeled grapes and put them in a bowl and told them they're eyeballs. Like Dick Skinners come out of there. They're grabbing other things. It's all sticky. It's like what are we doing? Brains was the other one, right? You'd fucking do like a Jello mold of brains. Like you're touching the brains.
Yeah.
I don't remember like it consistently happening for like Halloween. Later on, we'd do a thing at work for the kids that would come through. We would do that for a while, like when I first started working at like Como, the radio station. We got to TV and radio combined. We'd do a thing where the kids would come in and trick or treat, and we'd dress up and be dummies and do like, do all the games. But none of that's not bobbing for apples. It was always just like, we've got some sort of witch over here, and she's got candy. And then we did do the fishing game. I do remember doing that again. Shit like that. But
were you the knuckle fuck on the other side of the sheet?
Probably.
Like, looking stuff up?
Probably.
Yeah. You know what's weird to me now that I'm older? or in like re-experiencing elementary school through the eyes of the children, through innocent eyes. No, it's weird to me that it's like, and a friend of ours had like their kid went to homecoming, which ended up being at the school. It's weird that these events, like these kids go to school all day and then they go away for a bit and you're like, now we're going back to school to do this other thing. Like, it's kind of like, I don't, the whole concept of like, wow, and they're excited about going back to do a thing. It's like, this is the place that you complain about going every morning. You're like, oh, I don't want to go to school. And then if you set up like 300 hot dogs, you're like, we're going to the boo bag, like we're going to school. But the same, like little kids in elementary, I sort of get it because it's like, I don't know, they're setting up a haunted house and stuff. But as a high schooler, how are they not just like so jaded? Be like, I'm not going back in the library with a bunch of fucking ticker tape up or something.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the library. Like, but somehow they keep going back. They're like, nope, we do all the stuff at the school here. Enjoy it. Like the place that you have to go every day and sit through boring ass shit. It's just kind of a weird concept now to me. Like, this is the place where you learn that you hate, and it's also the gathering place where you party and have a great time.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
And make out in like the geography section of the library.
I don't know if that's a thing anymore now. With like,
it is a thing.
Is it still a thing?
Like, yeah, because a friend of ours, they just had their kid just did like homecoming. It was at the school, and apparently the library is where they set up like the movie room, and that's where a bunch of parents had to basically go in and like separate kids with like the jaws of life. They were just like on each other like shit on a blanket.
No, I just assumed.
But they do set up apparently now, like there's like, hey, here's a game room for kids who want to do board games and stuff. Like they do try to set up a little bit. It's not just like, hey, everybody, it's either the dance or you don't dance. It's like they try to set up some diversity. You know,
I would just assume that everything is so hyped up now, and that they see all this stuff on social media that now like schools are all competing to do like amazing shit off site and stuff. That's what it just seems like now.
Yeah,
like,
I guess not. I mean, well, they don't have money. Maybe a private school or something.
Yeah.
Like Instagram schools are like going at each other for the grams or something.
Yeah. I mean,
for the likes.
It's like I see like the dresses that girls are wearing now and stuff, and I'm thinking like, you remember the shitty dresses and the shitty tuxes and the bullshit that were like, first of all, I didn't even know where to go. Like you went to Men's Warehouse and you got something to wear. And now it's like, I mean, it's endless. You just order something.
Wasn't there like Tux Shop? Like, wasn't I remember going to the Alderwood Mall and going like the Tux Shop.
Tux Shop, yeah.
In high school, I don't know if you remember this. Like I think it was our senior year, and I was in journalism, that journalism class, which was just kind of a fuck off class of the very last period of day.
Mm-hmm.
But part of it, they're like this Tux Shop. I don't remember. I could be mixing my facts here, but it was something like, the Tux Shop at the Alderwood Mall wants to, like, we're running ads, right? There'd be like ads running in the paper, and they want to do a thing where like basically like what ended up happening is like I think me and a couple other people, we got fitted for a tux and we wore them to school like on Fridays the month leading up to prom or something, and you would give out like coupons for the Tux Shop at the Alderwood Mall. I don't know if you remember this all. I think maybe I had to wear it to school twice or maybe 3 times. I know at least more than once.
Another thing I don't ever remember seeing. But
yeah, so I remember once, and I remember one of the times I was like, I don't want to wear those pants again, so I just wore shorts and like the tux top or whatever. And I just wore like, you know, some below. And then we passed out like a bunch of these coupons or whatever. And part of the deal was like, you'd get a free rental if you do this, and we'll run an ad in the paper or whatever. I don't remember the whole gimmick, but I remember going back to the shop at the end. We had to like turn in our tuxes and like, cool, how many coupons got redeemed? And they're like, none. And they're like, oh, do we still get free rentals? They're like, yeah, fuck it. Like,
that's so great.
You can have your free rental. Like literally, we did all this, and it just like moved the needle very little. It's very much my first experience in like sales in general, and that like, oh, you can do all this stuff, and it doesn't really matter. It doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but now like kids will just order something offline. You know, and it's like amazing looking. It's like, I mean, just the rinky-dink bullshit that we had. It just was just amateur hour. Let's just be straightforward with this. Everything was amateur hour.
Everything was passed down. Like, I don't even know if it wasn't in the mall, it was out of my bounds of ideas.
Yeah.
All of my ideas were based on things I saw at the mall, and maybe something like near the Everett Mall 4 through 10 or Toys R Us or something. But outside of that, that's the container of all of my ideas. That's anything like beyond that was like, nope, don't get it, don't understand it, can't do it.
I wanted to be Freddy Krueger one year for Halloween. Okay. Mm-hmm. I managed to get the razor gloves or whatever. That was everywhere.
You had the glove for a long time.
Yeah, that was everywhere. And then it was, you either had to go makeup or a mask. I went with the mask because makeup never works out right.
Yeah.
And finally found like a foam hat that the mask came with, but it was like so many people had rummaged through the shit to find one of the hats
it was all mashed up.
It was all fucked up. Finally got this thing, but the linchpin was I could not find a sweater, the striped sweater. Like, you're fucked. Like, what am I going to do? Like, they don't sell it at this place. They just sell the mask, the glove, and the hat. And they're like, okay, go find a striped sweater. Go to Goodwill or something. Or, it's like, no, they didn't have it. And you want the one that's movie accurate. Couldn't find it. So I just went with a red sweater, like a pullover or whatever, right? And that, I mean, it was good enough or whatever. And of course, I'm wearing like acid wash jeans. We all know that Freddy Krueger didn't wear acid wash jeans, but like that's.
I can tell you what kind of pants you wore. Maybe like a Dockers. You wore Dockers.
Yeah, I think they were Levi's silver tabs is what they were, I believe. And I believe they were kind of like
506s,
pleated by the pockets and lightly
wonderful.
pleated.
Plenty of room to sit down then.
Yeah,
doesn't bunch up on you.
But like that was it. That's what you had to work with. There was no like, okay, we're just going to order it someplace and we'll get it here in time.
There wasn't even like
Halloween.
The Halloween spirit stores came much later.
No, way later.
Yeah.
Way later. You went to Payless drugstore. You went down the one aisle that they had. You'd see what they had. Usually dog shit. Or you went to the mall, and at the mall you had Spencer Gifts, which was way too expensive, right? You could go there, or Joker's Wild, which was these were like Joker's Wild was like a magic joke shop that was year round, and Spencer's was just, what the fuck was Spencer's?
It was like gags and like posters and lava lamps and like.
And some adult themed kind of like stuff
there was like
too.
Weird like stuff you'd buy for a bachelor party or bachelorette party, which I didn't quite get at the time, but now I like later on it's like, oh, that's why they have these things here, because there's always a bachelorette party that needs this. This is not like where people go for like their, oh honey, go get some lube. Let's get around this weekend. Right. Stop by a Spencer's.
Yeah.
Pick up some nipple butter.
Yeah,
that was a thing that they had.
That was a thing that was their nipple butter. Yeah. They would have masks, and then what else was there in the mall? Towards the end,
nipple butter. By the way,
Jesus.
I remember this vividly. Came with what I would describe as like with those little tiny knives that you get with the charcuterie.
Like when you get some cheese. It's like a knife that spreads. Like you can spread
a knife
things
that
easier.
spreads like that spreads a soft cheese. Like that kind of weird, kind of like bulbous, kind of like shaped like a beluga whale or something like that.
Yeah. Gross.
But that's what nipple butter came with. It was like a little soft cheese knife, but like tiny and plastic and like pink. I remember seeing that vividly.
Man.
Like, oh, you put the nipple butter on the knife and you just spread it on there like it's it's a croissant.
It's like one of those handy snacks, with
it totally was that. Yeah, it wasn't. Those are just
like
had a straight like square plastic spoon, but like that, but like fancy.
Yeah,
for nipples.
Good Lord. Yeah, and then towards the end, they'd take an empty space in the mall and turn it into maybe like more like a spirit Halloween. Yeah. But really, we didn't really have that sort of thing back then. And you were just like most things, you were fucked. You just were like, I'll make the best of what I've got here. And then now you see these little assholes all over like Instagram and shit doing like movie accurate bullshit. And they've got, they watched a YouTube tutorial and they ordered all this shit off of, some website. And it's like, that's not impressive anymore now, dude.
Well, even the costumes that you get at a Spirit, are pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
They're good enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you'll notice, too, that if it's a costume that is, like, popular or whatever, you'll go, oh, here's the dog shit version they have for super cheap.
Yeah.
Here's the middle version that's better. And here's the one that's legit, but it's way too expensive, and I don't want to pay that to wear.
Or you can even, like, we did this with my 10-year-old's costume this year because she was Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, and there were versions where you could buy the whole package together, or you can buy the separate components that are a little bit more high quality, depending on well, if you buy this dress just separate versus what's in the pack, you get like an actually nicer. So like you like kind of piecemealed things together and tried to pick like. And it worked out better. It was like cheaper, but you got better quality stuff. You're right. There are so many more options versus like, I'm wearing the Incredible Hulk thing with the picture of Incredible Hulk on my chest. Yes.
The Ben Cooper Halloween
and we've
outfits.
Talked about it a million times.
A million times. But that was like early on, that was definitely the only choices you had. If you're a kid of the late 70s, early 80s, that was it. That's pretty much all you had. You know, because like in Winlock, you'd go to, I swear, like Cedar Village grocery store would have a stack of fucking Ben Cooper masks, and it was like, this is what you got to work with. But then I do remember when shit got better, where they'd have a bunch of these like more like rubber masks that had more detail to them or whatever. You would go into Spencer and you'd see them. You remember this? They'd have them on like wig heads. They'd be sitting high above, like on. Kind of like they wanted to keep it again out of the reach of your dick skinners, so they put it on like a wig head, put it way up above, so the kids couldn't fuck with it, but the adults could pull it down and look at it. Right?
Oh, right, yeah.
And all of those were always meant for. I've talked about this. I was like, I want to be Frankenstein. That's a really cool Frankenstein mask. It's got like hair glued on it. I want that thing. My parents are like, cool. That's really easy. Here you go. Got the mask. It's meant for adults. I mean, fuck, put the thing on my head. I'm swimming in it. My dad had to crunch up a bunch of newspapers and pile it up underneath so it would sit high enough so I could see out of the eyes. And I just looked like a jackass.
Dude, those rubber masks are brutal.
And it smelled so toxic. And
the heat, the smell, and just like the instant sweat and like humidity that builds up inside of them. Oh,
terrible.
So
just
gross.
Terrible. Huh. Yeah. Well. Yeah, I don't have, other than going from neighborhood to neighborhood or just the local track housing neighborhood that I had next door and going trick-or-treating. That was the highlight of Halloween. We didn't really have, I don't recall many.
I only remember going to Hillcrest a few times and just being confused. And everything was just kind of like locked inside that tiny little gym.
Yeah, that was a tiny gym.
I'm sure it was overwhelming for me, but I'm sure for adults there, they're like, this is it.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah.
Did you, and we may have talked about this before, did you ever go trick-or-treating at the mall?
No, I did not. No, maybe I did. I think I did do that once. Yes.
So the first year we moved from Winlock to Lake Stevens, we didn't really know the lay of the land. So my parents were trying to figure out what neighborhood should we go? What's the easiest way to do this? And they found out that the mall stays open late on Halloween, and then you just go to storefront to storefront. The stores are closed, but they're just handing out candy. It was quite the haul, dude, because you just went the outer perimeter of the mall. And if you remember how Everett Mall had four wings, including the wing with the food court. Yeah. And you just you went all the way around, and we got out of there, dude. We had quite the haul, dude.
I do vaguely, I think I maybe did that once. I vaguely remember doing that. There was some other spot, and again, you're a kid. You're like, where am I? Yeah. What are we doing? I remember going to what I remember is some sort of apartment building or hotel or something in Everett where they also did it. You could go door to door on a floor. It was really
weird.
It
was and it's one of those things that people just knew about it, right? It was this is the place to go to. They do it up every year, so it makes it real easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my memories of it now are maybe partially real and partially just me substituting in The Shining or something, some sort of creepy hallway of why do these people live in these doors? I'm such a suburban kid at that point.
Yeah.
People live in this thing.
Yeah.
This is a hotel. No, it's not a hotel, honey.
Yeah.
This is where people live. What?
Super confusing, especially if you grew up in suburbia, especially back in the 80s or whatever. Yeah, apartment dwelling, not a thing that you'd see often.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The apartments that we had growing up were like, as my dad would call them, woody walk-ups. They were like the 3-story walk-ups that had exterior doors that went to the outside. Yeah. Like that, I understood. Like, people live there. But a building that you go inside and go up an elevator and go down. That was a hotel. And people live off those doors. I was like, I don't understand where is this an office building? Is this a hotel? Who's behind these doors?
Just idiots. We're kids. Just idiots. The one thing I would say about the mall, though, was you'd get over to like a GNC and they're handing out chewable vitamins, shit like that. You'd get to Hickory Farms and you'd get those strawberry looking hard candies that had the wrapper that looks like a strawberry. Those. You'd get a lot
Grandma had a whole shitload of them in a bowl.
Oh yeah,
they were old. They were the same ones for years and years. Yeah.
That was the one cool thing about going into a Hickory Farms, because my mom and dad would go and get a goddamn cheese log and a beef stick or something. But as a kid, you'd go and roam back to the candy barrels they had in there, and then they had like wooden barrels that were just filled with those strawberry things. They had like some mint things, and you just. Like, don't put your hands in there. Don't put your hands in there. It's like, okay. But goddamn, you wanted to put your hands. You wanted to see how deep the barrel went.
Yeah.
It's like
Scrooge McDuck inside this thing.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was about it. That was about it. Sure.
Yeah, I don't remember like any big candy hall. Like our neighborhood was like we were such in kind of rural suburbia. Everything was so spread out.
Yes.
Like if you hit 10 houses, you're like, man, I scored. Now my kids like literally can't carry their own Halloween bags because like they were in kind of more, I wouldn't say it's like dense, but like we're in the city and everything's like, every house is 5 feet apart.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, where I lived, we had Blaine, who was in that giant, giant development.
Yeah,
and that was like, why would you go anywhere else?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know if we could finish it in one night. Like when we because it got so built out and there were so many roads back in there that eventually it was like, okay, you'd take it to like 10 p.m. and then you felt bad about ringing a doorbell or 9:30 or whatever, right? So, good times, great oldies. All right.
Well, happy Halloween, buddy.
Yeah. Hopefully when we're recording this, Halloween's next Tuesday. Is that what's going on? Hopefully I'll get this out by then.
Come on over to my house. I'm going to be giving out hot dogs, 300 of them. the whatever trick-or-treaters show up.
Just hand them out frozen.
Absolutely
thaw out by the time they get, they're already cooked. I
can tell you, they smell delicious. Like, although I got home from that thing and I just went out in the back porch and took off all my clothes and just left them out there.
You burned them,
and then instantly went and just got in the shower and just like scrubbed myself with like a 409 pad.
Yeah,
it was like I was just standing over this thing, just steaming myself with like hot dog stink,
and not to mention grill stink too, right? Like
I mean I mean like everybody like, oh man, that smells good. You're doing a great job there, bud. And like thanks buddy. But yeah, I was like standing over that thing for 4 hours. Like I definitely had new respect for like a short order, like a line cook.
You're like something. The guy in Heat that they
Heat.
Get
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Hot dogs to me
they
now.
Invented a time I cannot do.
Yeah,
that's what I said. Yeah.
Hot dogs for me now as an adult have become kind of like microwave popcorn. It smells way better than it actually tastes. So I don't know what it is. I think they've finally figured out what was really bad in hot dogs, and they've taken it out. But that's the thing that made me really like them. So like
all the nitrates.
I don't know what it is, but like like street meat, and maybe it's just because we're young, drunk, and getting out of a club or whatever. But I can't go back. Those don't exist anymore.
That's funny you say that because like we went down to you came to that one Mariners game and I've done some other things.
I was just gonna go here too.
Street meat, and it's like it smells pretty good, but there's nothing like that part of me is dead.
Yeah, it's weird. Like
for those,
and they have that that Royal Brom or whatever that road is where it's closed off, and all it is just street meat guys and it's like the further out you are, the cheaper they are. And they're all telling you like, oh, when you get inside, it's way too expensive. You get it now. And I'm with you. I've done it too many times where I was like, I'll just grab one of these out here. And then you're like eating it as you're walking. And you're like, this isn't very good.
Do you have to be like wasted to have it?
It must be.
Because I remember them being like just like straight ambrosia when we'd have it. Like
it's true.
Back in the late 90s, it was so fantastic.
I don't know.
Even up in Bellingham, they would like bust out the cart. It was like, oh
yeah,
my God,
yeah.
He's so happy.
And my family, we weren't hot dog eaters. It wasn't something like my mom would be like, oh, we're having hot dogs tonight. That didn't happen. Like I don't know what it was. Like, you know, we're half Polish, so you'd get some kielbasi from time to time. And I'm talking about one of those loop, you know, the rings. You know, something like that. But we never did like hot dogs. We never did bratwursts or anything like that. And then it wasn't until my 20s when we started hitting the bars or the clubs or whatever that I was like, oh man, I've been missing out on these all my life. But yeah, now it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't have the same powerful lust for them I once did. Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, I'll smell them cooking every once in a while. And like, I'm like, oh man, that smells so good. I was like, they're not though. They're not that good. They're not that good. Like, and I'll just have to remind myself, you know, going into the game, it's like, do you really want to be burping that the whole game from out here?
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. It's like the garlic fries or anything like that. It's like, I can't, the aftermath is too brutal and I just can't like, I know the interest I'm going to have to pay on that loan and I refuse to do it.
And not to mention in bed later. Like, right? It's just like,
I mean, it can be like the next day where you're like, oh my God, I did that. Like, I just can't. The interest is too high. I can't,
very good way of putting it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, happy Halloween, everyone. Hope it's magical for you. Thanks for listening. And thanks, Ryan/Brian, for that wonderful, wonderful tune. So that's
which is absolutely, I openly wept.
I know. It's just
from all of my orifices.
I don't know how to explain it other than touching. Touching is what I said. And I think it's like a trilogy now. I think he's done 3 songs.
I think he's done 4.
Is that 4? Holy shit!
I think that might be 4.
Wow.
You got the one with the chub. You got the one he just did. You got one about.
I believe talking about bratwursts.
When I talk about putting sun SPF on your junk.
On your junk.
I believe there's one more other than that. I could be missing the 4th.
Talking about.
I listened to them all just last week when he sent. When he said,
talking about the bratwurst that in our 20s is when I would buy those cheese dogs and broil them in the oven, and once they popped and whistled, because that's you're making that noise in that song. You
should play that. Play that one. Go in the post.
Oh God,
this is a message of
play that one going out.
Future Thunder. Yeah.
Okay.
I can, if you need it again, I can send it to you.
No. I'll be able to find it. So, all right, buddy. That's it. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
When you hear them burst and whistle,
they're done.
You know they're done. Oh, the hot dog's done.
Get those out of there. They're done.
You got to put like a 50 SPF 50 on your junk.
That hasn't seen UV rays ever, probably.
Yeah, never. My cock has never seen the rays of the sun.
They got the mini corn dogs here. They were fantastic. Fantastic.